Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We call to order the 3138th meeting of the Human Rights Committee. We are here to consider the second periodic report by Cambodia. We have with us His Excellency Ambassador Ney as the head of the delegation. This is a delegation that doesn't show very much gender parity. I'm sure we will have some comments on the whole subject of non-discrimination as reflected in our list of issues. We have received the second periodic report. We are very pleased to have received it, which came in a little bit late, 10 years after the deadline for its submission. We are going to hear the initial presentation. That is a statement by His Excellency. And this presentation will include a summary of the replies to our list of issues in a succinct fashion to allow our colleagues to follow them. And then we'll go on to go through the list of issues that we have, or a list of questions that we have planned for this afternoon. This afternoon, we will look at questions 1 to 14. So without further ado, I'll give the floor to His Excellency, the Ambassador, extending a very warm welcome to this meeting of the Human Rights Committee. Mr. Ney, Your Excellency, you have the floor, sir.
First of all, I would like to pay my respect, Mr. Chairperson of the committee. My respect to the honorables and members of the committee and observers who are present here, especially NGOs who are here. Today, together with my delegation, including Excellency Pollum, Secretary of State of the Ministry of Interior, Excellency Adradi, Vice Chairperson of the Cambodian Human Rights Committee, and also Under Secretary of State of the Ministry of Justice. And we have our ambassador here and my colleagues who are present here today. That we have to work on the presentation of the second report today. Today, I am very pleased to attend this national report meeting. And I also would like to deeply pay my deeply thanks to the chairperson of the Human Rights Committee and all members of who are present here today. Furthermore, I would like to thank UNHCR in Cambodia who have worked hard to work with the Cambodian team on implementation of ICCPR from the first report to the present report. And also thanks to CSOs who are important stakeholders of the royal government that help with the consultations with the government, provide information to the government and recommendation to the royal government on a constructive manner for the national development of Cambodia as a whole. I would like to read our presentation. So the progress of the ICCPR report, we have adopted at the Council Minister meeting on the 23rd of August 2012. 2 years ago that we had the council minister meeting from all relevant institutions and ministries of the government, legal experts, economic experts. At the end, we adopted the report, and then we sent this report to the committee in September 2012. And the UN committee in Geneva examine the report and then give us some recommendations, 28 questions altogether. And the 28 questions related with the topics, and we already distributed to there are 12 major topics related. At the same time, after we have received the recommendations, 28 recommendations from the committee, Cambodian Human Rights Committees, we had called for a meeting with all relevant institution ministries, about 8 institution ministries involved. And then we submitted the summary report to Geneva and to the Human Rights Committee as we have today. This is the process of writing this report. So I will read to you only 5 major points. One is about establishment of the National Human Rights Institution. I would like to affirm you that at 1997, the royal government of Cambodia has issued a sub-decree to set up a committee which is responsible to draft the law on the establishment of the committee. At that time, given to civil society organization, and after that, the process was not working until 2006 September. As you probably know, the Prime Minister of Cambodia participated to open a very big workshop in Siem Reap province. That workshop is called the workshop on the draft of the law to establish the National Human Rights Institution from some country, from Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Philippines. Those speakers, they shared their experiences on the establishment of the institution in line with Paris Principle. And the people who are in Cambodia participated. We have members of the government, NGOs, civil society organization, and we there was a 3-day workshop at that time. And after that, the Prime Minister gave this work in drafting to NGOs, to CSOs organization, to establish the National Human Rights Institution. And then subsequently the work continued up to 2007 in civil society organization. At that time, we have His Excellency Kamsaka. He as a chairman of the drafting group, and later on. In end of 2007, he stopped, and then he opened he set up his own political party. And then Madame Pongjiget, the head of NGO, also came to head the team, and then redraft the law. I myself and His Excellency Edrati as on behalf of the government, and Madame Pongjiget from Likado, and some of the colleagues, we had a lot of dialogues. And we had 4 meetings, 2 meetings in Phnom Penh, and President one time, and Kokong one time. And then we had a study tour to the Philippines. 12 members of the delegation to visit the Philippines. We to learn experiences, and then we finished the draft law. Finished the law in June or July 2010, and everything is because civil society would like to disseminate this draft law to the citizens, and by 15 January 2014, the meeting between Professor Suja Subidi and Samdech Prime Minister Hun Sen at the government palace. His government palace in Cambodia. Prime Minister said that we have to continue to work with NGOs to have a good draft law in line with the Paris principles, which is important, so that everyone can accept the law. And up to now, Madame Pongkip recently she sent a letter to me in order to further discuss the draft law. And of course, we will follow suit on the implementation of the draft law. When I return to Cambodia, I will have a meeting with Madame Pongkip about the draft law. After the meetings, we can have a national workshop for the draft law and so on, and then we submit it to the Council of Ministers. This is the first job that I would like to explain, inform you all. It means that the government does not ignore the work on the establishment. We want the law to be out. So priority is given to civil societies, organizations to draft the law. I hope after I come back to Cambodia, we can have a national workshop to collect feedbacks from legal expert lawyers and other relevant, and from academic institutions, so that it can give a recommendation or feedbacks to the draft law. The second point is about land reforms. I would like to summarize that the government of Cambodia registered the land on all types categories of land. Especially up to now, we have issued title deeds to 3.84 million title deeds for more than 500,000 households. Probably we have about 50%, because this issue, land registration, is a very complicated issue in Cambodia. At the same time, indigenous people, the government take into considerations the government of Cambodia want the indigenous peoples have rights more than the general citizens. They can collectively, they can have the collective rights for community land. So they have policies and sub-degrees in relation to the land registration for the indigenous people have been completed, and for implementation and some of the regulations, such as the inter-ministries instructions on the community land issue in terms of requesting for registration. In the registration process, the government of Cambodia, Ministry of Land Management, always have on-site registration form and consultation with the community, so that we whatever we do, we have to go on the site and put a lot of questions. What are the impacted issues, so we can draft the law and standardize. And then there are 18 communities, indigenous communities, but right now we have only registered 8 communities. 10 community are continuing to be registered right now. This is in terms of land reform. On the legal and judicial system reform, the government, after we have received the recommendation within that 28 recommendation, the government is very eager to look into the legal and judicial system reform. There are three. Recently, there are three laws in the judicial system reforms. We have already adopted, and for implementation, July 2014, three laws which are very important that have been passed by the National Assembly. For this mandate, the government of Cambodia, we have completed. After this, then if you have any questions, we have our team members here who are here present here. They are working on these laws. They can share with you if you have any questions in relation to this law. This is the third point, my summary. The fourth point on the electoral reforms, as ladies and gentlemen knows that after the last mandate election, there were problems happened in Cambodia, a lot of demonstration and so on. And after the Prime Minister said after the election we have to do the electoral reform so that the next elections will not have no problems. As you can see, we have their demand from other political parties to have electoral reforms. But the Prime Minister said that we want to have the entire electoral reforms from registrations, everything. From A to Z in terms of electoral process. After the agreement on 22 July 2014, political solution, there was a principle in policy in Cambodia. We call it a culture of talking, negotiations. So we have the less majority party in the parliament, and so the dialogue should be a culture and should be continued so that we can maintain order, social orders, and do not impact the poor or something like, or those who don't know anything. They are affected by the demonstrations and so on. So it affects the rights of other citizens and security issues as well. So there are major challenges. So the two major political parties adopted a dialogue, culture of dialogue. Now the electoral process, we have used the chapter 1 of the constitution that define the electoral process, and then we are working on the entire draft law, and then recently we had conducted a workshop conducted by the National Assembly, and in September or something like that, the National Assembly will adopt the draft law, the law. The fifth point is about freedom of expression. As you probably can see, the United Nations Conventions on Human Rights, on especially Article 19, and the Cambodian Constitution, Article 31 to 51. They talk clearly about rights, obligations, duties of the citizens of Cambodia. I would like to inform you that after the constitution, we have laws. We have law on demonstrations adopted in 2012. So we have a constitution and laws that all the people have to abide, have to respect. The government of Cambodia never ever do any hindrance to the freedom of expression of the people. The expression are welcome in line with the law. Express and respect other people's rights. The third, any expression should not be affect the security of the society, and the freedom of expression should not be a chaotic situation or something like that, or cause disorder to the country. Any country is the same. Whatever freedom of expression to cause riot or chaotic situation in the country, every country is the same. They have to have measures in order to take care of the social society. We need the security and order. It cannot be a chaotic society. If there's no there's disorder and insecurity in the country, so it will be a chaotic situation. When there's a chaotic situation, there's no freedom of expression. Whoever is powerful, they will the winners. This is the if we talk about the law of the nature. So we have to take care of the social securities and orders of the country, so everyone can participate to respect. So I would like the members of the committees and Mr. Chairperson the government is very welcome about the expression of of expression, but the expression should be in line with the law, because we are the rule of law country. So this is the summary of this point. So in order to save time, so we still have 7 more points. So it's already distributed to you, and then we have the law on organized NGO, a law on association, and draft law on the unions and prisons, and youth rehabilitation center, women's rights, child rights, and extraordinary court chamber in the court of Cambodia. I would like to finish my introduction presentation now. On behalf of the government of Cambodia, I would like to respect and thanks my deep thanks to Mr. Chairperson of the Human Rights Committee and members of the meeting that allow us to submit our report, second report, in relation to the implementation of ICCPR, for the meeting to examine and give recommendations. And I thank you very much, and I would like to wish you all the best, good of health and success in all the work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, delegation of Cambodia. We will start with questions and comments from colleagues on the committee concerning items 1 to 14 on the list of issues. I will give the floor, first of all, to Ms. Margot Waterfall. Ms. Waterfall, you have the floor. You were the first to ask for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me first extend my warm welcome to the distinguished delegation of the Kingdom of Cambodia. We want to thank you for the comprehensive report and the replies to the list of issues. A lot has happened in Cambodia since your initial report 16 years ago. There are a lot of positive developments, but there remain some concerns. During this constructive dialogue, we would like to know what the reality is on the ground in order to offer some guidance for you to better comply with the provisions of the covenant and for better protection of human rights in Cambodia. I'm going to ask questions on issue number 1, 2, and 14. With regard to question number 1, on the direct applicability of the covenant, you gave us an example of one decision of the Constitutional Court. It's just one example, but we also receive information of another example, and that's a decision of the Supreme Court in September 2013 in the case of CFD, where the Supreme Court emphasized that a confession forcibly extracted from one of the convicts by the police could not be invoked as evidence in the court. And maybe there would be more examples where the covenant would be applied directly, but we got some complaints from NGOs that they don't have access to court's decision. So maybe you can give some information on that. With regard to the training of judges and law enforcement in the provisions of the covenant, the state party has not replied to this question. In paragraph 28 of the report, you mention training workshops on civil and political rights to government officials of various ministries. But there is no explicitly mentioning of judges and law enforcement officials. Maybe you can elaborate more on this issue. I also want to know if these training workshops are evaluated and what is the impact of these workshops. We also know that generally lawyers and judges from civil law countries are reluctant to use case law as the main source of law. But we have information that there is a tool available to assist lawyers to use the covenant in interpreting domestic legislation. That is the annotated Code of Criminal Procedure developed by the OHCHR and others. The Criminal Code of Cambodia is annotated with jurisprudence from inter alia the ECCC decisions. The annotated code provides guidance into the way in which code articles may be interpreted and applied. But the annotated code is not officially recognized by the royal government of Cambodia or the Cambodian courts. My question is, are you going to officially recognize the annotated code as a source of law in Cambodia? And are you going to train the judges to directly apply the covenant in their decisions? You have already given partly answer to issue number 2, and that is the establishment of the National Human Rights Institute. Before you give your oral presentation, my question was, what is the status of the law? You have already elaborated on that. But let me give you something to take into consideration while commenting on this law. As you know, the National Human Rights Institution, according to the Paris Principle, has to be an institution that is independent and autonomous entity, and it has to be established by law with adequate powers, has its own budget, and a transparent process in selecting its members. The members should also be a reflection of the population. So because as of 1997, you are in the process of drafting this law. So maybe you can also tell us when you think that this law will be adopted by Parliament. Concerning issue number 14, we know that trafficking in persons is a widespread problem in Cambodia, and that various ministries, chaired by the very high delegation, I think the Prime Minister, as stated in paragraph 21 of your replies, are involved in combating this problem. But we have received only partial answer to this issue number 14. In paragraph 48 and paragraph of your replies to the list of issues and paragraph 88 of the national report, you have indicated some numbers. But from civil society, we have learned that the available information about victims is limited or conflicting. We also have information that investigations by police authorities into trafficking cases remain rare, leading to extremely low numbers of prosecutions and convictions. And in this regard, I want to repeat the questions on issue number 14. Can you please provide updated information disaggregated by age, sex, and ethnicity of the victims, on the numbers of complaints, investigations, prosecutions, convictions, and sentences imposed in cases of human trafficking since the consideration of state parties' initial report? Please provide information on the measures taken to ensure effective implementation of the law on the suppression of human trafficking and sexual exploitation, in particular to strengthen and effectively enforce appropriate mechanisms aimed at prevention, early identification, referral, assistance, and support for victims of trafficking. Please describe the results of the 2011 till the 2030 National Plan of Action on the suppression of human trafficking, smuggling, labor, and sexual exploitation. Has the state party evaluated the effectiveness of measures taken to raise awareness of trafficking in persons? And with that, President, I thank the delegation in advance for the replies they want to provide us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Waterval. Now I pass the floor to Mr. Iwasawa. Mr. Iwasawa, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I join my colleagues in extending a very warm welcome to the distinguished delegation of Cambodia. This afternoon, I will ask questions on issues numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I start with issue number 3. At the outset, I'd like to acknowledge that gender equality is one of the areas where improvements have been made. Although I must point out that the representation of women on the distinguished delegation before us today is far from satisfactory. I thank the government of Cambodia for giving us detailed answer to the question on the equal representation of women in decision-making positions, and we welcome various measures envisaged in the National Strategic Development Plan. I would like to ask 2 questions relating to issue number 3. First, women are concentrated in low-wage and unskilled labor sectors in Cambodia. It is reported that in January 2014, workers employed in the garment industry, most of whom women, were cracked down on during their demonstration calling for higher salary. Some of them were shot to death. What measures has the state party taken to improve the conditions of women working in low-wage, unskilled labor sectors? We would appreciate it if the distinguished delegation would provide information also on differences in the employment rate and the wage gap between men and women. Secondly, I would appreciate it if the distinguished delegation would provide information on measures taken to combat the still prevalent stereotype on the role of women in family and society. The Chibab Surey, the traditional code of conduct for women, is deeply rooted in the Cambodian culture and continues to define life on the basis of stereotypical role of women. And I understand that this idea also supports the idea that women are inadequate in political affairs. Does the government of Cambodia plan to take measures, especially in schools, to eliminate such stereotypes on the role of women? Has the state party evaluated the efficacy of the measures taken to implement the Ministry of Women's Affairs Nyeri Latanak Strategies 1, 2, and 3 from 1999 to 2013? I now turn to issue number 4. In the list of issues, we asked a question on anti-Vietnamese sentiment in Cambodia. I'm afraid that this question remains unanswered. I understand that many ethnic Vietnamese people are stateless, even though they have lived in Cambodia for generations. The lack of nationality prevents them from enjoying basic human rights and forces them to live in poverty. Those who seem to meet the requirements for Cambodian nationality are not given nationality. Many children born after 1996, even though they meet the requirements stipulated in Article 4 of the 1996 Law on Nationality, have not been granted birth certification. Some children born before 1996, even though they should have acquired nationality through the jus soli principle in the 1954 Law on Nationality, have not been given ID papers. One of the causes for the situation, I understand, is that it was difficult for them to submit necessary documents because their family were deported to Vietnam under the Khmer Rouge regime and returned to Cambodia later. We are told that local authorities responsible for the issuance of ID cards do not have sufficient knowledge on the nationality law and refuse to accept applications from ethnic Vietnamese. And it is also alleged that Cambodia treats ethnic Vietnamese as immigrants rather than citizens. We are informed also that the opposition party often exploits the discriminatory speech against ethnic Vietnamese excuse me, as an attack against the ruling party. Perhaps fueled by such political rhetoric, anti-Vietnamese sentiment has sometimes developed into violence. In January last year, Vietnamese-run shops in Phnom Penh were attacked and looted. In February last year, a Vietnamese man was beaten to death by a mob after a minor traffic accident. Could the distinguished delegation please comment on these reports and explain to us measures it intends to take to address the problem? I now turn to issue number 5. I take note that the criminal code prohibits various types of discrimination, including discrimination based on gender. As for sexual orientation or gender identity, however, it does not specifically prohibit discrimination. This is also the case with the Constitution and the labor law. According to information before us, these legislative loopholes enable employers to refuse to hire LGBT people, and it results in unemployment among them. We are told that there exists discrimination among staff in healthcare centers, and LGBT people with HIV/AIDS hesitate to get access to treatment for fear of discrimination. To address the situation, does the government of Cambodia plan to amend legislation and include sexual orientation among grounds based on which discrimination is prohibited? Discrimination against LGBT people is produced by not only legislation, legislative inadequacies, but also stigma and discriminatory sentiment rooted in the Cambodian society. It is reported that LGBT people are often disowned by their family. And we have been told also that the village commune safety policy, which was started to ensure security and public order through addressing crimes such as taking illegal drugs or human trafficking, is used by biased police to arrest LGBT people. Could the distinguished delegation explain what measures have been taken to eliminate the social stigma against LGBT people and to raise awareness in society? I would like to turn now to the issue of same-sex marriage. The law on marriage and the family explicitly prohibits same-sex marriage. And according to the written replies to the list of issues you provided us, Cambodia has not considered the possibility of recognizing same-sex marriage. Could the distinguished delegation explain the reasons for refusing to recognize same-sex marriage? I now turn to my last issue for this afternoon, issue number 6. I thank the government of Cambodia for giving detailed information on awareness-raising programs for persons with disabilities. We welcome these efforts. Could the distinguished delegation inform us when the first evaluation of the impact of the programs will be conducted? Excuse me. I would like to ask a question now that was not included in the list of issues. And this question concerns the information provided in paragraph 230 of your report, the report of the State Party. According to the report of the State Party, people with mental defectiveness do not have the right to vote. With regard to the right to vote of the persons with disabilities, in 1913, the committee took a new position. The committee recommended one government, Hong Kong, China in this case, to, and I quote, revise its legislation to ensure that it does not discriminate against persons with mental, intellectual, or psychosocial disabilities by denying them the right to vote on basis that are disproportionate or that have no reasonable and objective relation to their ability to vote, taking account of Article 26 of the Covenant and Article 29 of the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. I repeat once again, this is a quote from a recommendation of the committee we made to Hong Kong, China in October 2013. In view of this recommendation by this committee, could the distinguished delegation explain to us how the prohibition of the right to vote to persons with disabilities can be justified under the Covenant. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Iwasaba. Now I give the floor to Ms. Cyberfor. Ms. Cyberfor, you have the floor, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I would like to join my colleagues in extending a warm welcome to the distinguished delegation from Cambodia. I very much look forward to engaging in a very constructive dialogue, especially given the long time that has elapsed since last time. My issue today is related to violence against women, including domestic violence, rape, and acid attacks. I thank the State Party for the written replies to our issue number 7, and I recognize that steps have been taken, including under the law on the prevention of domestic violence of 2005 to prevent violence against women. But of course, there are concerns about deficiencies in the implementation of this law. There is information according to which sexual violence within marriage seems to be broadly accepted as normal in society. I understand the difficulties in changing public perceptions, but despite the decrease in the figures provided to us by the State Party in the written replies, the figures remain a source of considerable concern. According to a report, or 2 reports, by the Women's Affairs Minister of the State Party of 2012 and 2014, domestic violence stems from societal attitudes that men are stronger and more valuable than women, and that authorities felt a husband was justified in using extreme types of violence if a wife argued with her husband, did not obey him, or did not respect. According to information provided to us, 35% of Cambodian men had used physical violence against their spouse. These figures speak for themselves, and we hopefully agree that there is an urgent need to reinforce efforts to prevent and prosecute the still prevalent gender-related violence in the country. The written replies claim that the first National Action Plan was evaluated by the government and that civil society institutions were involved in this kind of evaluation. According to the replies, strengths and weaknesses have been identified by the government with respect to the first National Action Plan. Therefore, I would like to ask, could you please specify the weaknesses and how these weaknesses are addressed by the second National Action Plan for the period of 2014 to 2018, which was adopted on the 5th of December of last year? What are the evaluation mechanisms provided for in this second National Action Plan for reviewing the achievements of this new plan? Now, with respect to prosecution, there are concerns about the low number of prosecutions of gender-based violence. Could you please specify the number of prosecutions of gender-based violence? What are the efforts made to facilitate access to justice? Reportedly, there are negative attitudes of judicial officers and law enforcement personnel towards women. Moreover, there is information according to which the prosecution is impeded by the high cost of medical certificates for rape or sexual assault, and that this is also due to corruption in the administration of justice. I would like to ask what steps have been taken against the societal stigmatization of women who take legal action against their husbands. Finally, with respect to the widespread sexual violence crimes committed during the Khmer Rouge regime, I would like to know how many victims have received reparations for the crimes that they have suffered from. I'm concerned about information indicating that the Supreme Court chamber dismissed the prosecutor's appeal to include rape as a distinct form of crimes against humanity, alleging that at the time of the commission, crime was not an established crime against humanity under international law. I wonder what led the Supreme Court to make such a finding, which appears to be at odds with international criminal law. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cyberford. Maintenant, je passe la parole.
I now give the floor to Mr. Benachur. You have the floor. Thank you, Chairman. And I would also like to extend a welcome to the delegation from Cambodia. I will be dealing with questions 8, 9, and 10 in the list of issues. Generally speaking, the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights is aimed at helping states in their task to help them govern better at home and also enjoy more prestige internationally. And I believe that the Covenant is not something that should be a sort of straitjacket, an imposition on states, but to free them up, if you like. And I believe I made a similar comment on an earlier occasion. The Covenant needs to be properly understood in the sense that it's something that helps your state rather than being a constraint on your country. Having said that, this is all the more true when we look at 8, 9, and 10. 8 has to do with the most important right, the right to life, the universal right to life, which is guaranteed under Article 6 of the Covenant. Cambodia is part of those countries that has abolished the death penalty, and this is, of course, to the credit of your country. Article 32 of your constitution enshrines very clearly the right to life. As I see it, the problem lies in the fact that there is a gap between the law in Cambodia and the practice. Many incidents have occurred over the last 10 years. We've heard that there was the death of 12 journalists who have been killed over the last 10 years. I think the last was January 1994. We also have information according to which human rights defenders, trade unionists are attacked and also sometimes are beaten to death. And the third question that I'd like to raise under 8 is the following. What measures can you take and have been taking in order to remedy this problem? Now, the answer that we got from your government is that as regards the 12 journalists, you say that apparently there is no grounds for the accusation, so that they have been overturned. And you say that all criminal cases are investigated. Many cases have been taken to the courts in line with your legal proceedings, and that 3 cases of murder were taken to the courts and the perpetrators were convicted. And you also go on to say that the Cambodian government, well, you say that the other cases are going through the necessary procedures. On the case of harassment and the death of human rights defenders, also environmental defenders, trade unionists, you deny this information. You say that such information is untrue. And I believe to the last question, what measures have been taken to remedy these problems, you have provided no answer to that question. I said earlier on that the problem in Cambodia is that there is a real gap between the law and practice. This is something that was mentioned in the concluding observations and has been since 1999. The whole issue of the right to life and the respect for the right to life in practice was already flagged in 1999. It was mentioned in the committee's concluding observations under paragraph 11. And I think what's of real concern to us is that the information we get does tie in with other sources of information. So we're not just relying ourselves on one source of information, but international and Cambodian sources of information, and they tie in. The death of 4 people who were killed in the southwest of Phnom Penh. This was during some sort of workers' demonstration. So we see that there is a lot of information on this. People who have been injured, who died 3 months later. A 16-year-old boy who was shot in the chest and then simply disappeared. So the information that we're getting, first of all, they criticize the government for not really taking the necessary proceedings and indeed prosecute those people who should be held responsible.
What is a bit bothersome is that these events keep happening. They happened on September 15th, 2013, 12th of November 2013, in January 2014, etc. And we have names that have been given concerning those facts. So my question is as follows. Since the facts seem to have been borne out and confirmed and coming from different sources, how can the government justify what happened? Is there a political will, real political will in place to put an end to this type of excessive action by the police and the armed forces? And what is the government doing to combat impunity among the perpetrators? And what is most important, I think, is what is the government doing to raise awareness among the police and the armed forces who are responsible for maintaining law and order? I fully understand what you said earlier, that law and order is vital for states, and there has to be a balance struck between law and order on the one hand and freedom on the other. But I think that a professional police force which is responsible for law enforcement should have specific training and should be made aware of human rights issues, and above all, they need to show respect for the right to life. The second question, number 9, in my view, has to do with the excessive use of force during demonstrations. It relates to demonstrations, thus. And from the information we have received, again, excessive use has been made of private forces who are not public officials. And so the question is really, what measures are being taken to ensure that law enforcement officials comply with Articles 6 and 7 of the Covenant? Have disciplinary and criminal measures been taken against the perpetrators? We've been told that, for example, during demonstrations, there are often people who are injured and people who die, which is a violation of Article 6 and also a violation of the right to demonstrate. The replies you have provided to these questions, and moreover, I would like to say also that the information we have received has been confirmed by the official authorities of the United Nations, above all the Special Rapporteur on Cambodia, in his public report. that report has been made public. So the answer you have given is that it's not just the demonstrators who are victims of these problems. Also, the police forces are injured and die. And also, these demonstrations are the result of subversive groups who attack people and who engage in acts of violence. Thus, these acts of violence end up being dangerous to society itself, which has led the government quite rightly to use force. And when one uses force, there are often incidents of this kind that occur. You've also said that the government has taken measures to set up inquiry committees and that certain cases have been taken to court. That's great, but I would like, concerning this subject and concerning your reply, I would like to make the following comment. Just supposing that the violence used by the protesters and demonstrators actually did occur, still there has been excessive use of violence by the law enforcement officials. And here I would like to remind you of the underlying principles of the United Nations concerning the use of firearms by those responsible for enforcing the law. So my question is whether these UN principles on the use of firearms by law enforcement officials have been respected. Has the necessity principle been complied with? Has the proportionality principle been observed? And has the principle of the sacrosanct nature of life and its preservation also been respected? Some NGOs state that the actions by the law enforcement agencies not only run counter to the UN principles I've just mentioned, but also Convention 87 of the International Labour Organization on trade union freedoms. And certain organizations even go on to say that repression against workers has acted as a pretext for the suppression of political opponents who are against the regime. What is your reaction to this type of criticism? Question number 10 relates also to an extremely important issue for human rights, the issue of physical integrity and the problem of torture. The question that has been asked is about the legislative framework to prosecute those responsible for torture, and to what extent does that framework comply with international norms? We are told that acts of torture have occurred concerning certain people kept in custody. Many complaints of torture and ill treatment have been referred to. Have there been investigations, prosecutions, convictions, and compensation? And then is there a mechanism for external independent monitoring to investigate allegations of unlawful acts committed by law enforcement officials? Also, is there a preventive mechanism, and what progress has been made? The answer from the government to this whole set of issues boils down to the following. And here I would recall that Cambodian law is right up to speed, and you say so in your report, Articles 75 to 84. You say that the Constitution in Articles 38 and 39 condemns totally, explicitly all acts of torture, but there's not just the Constitution. Your criminal code of 2009 in Articles 210 to 216 also punishes acts of torture. Cambodia is a party to the Convention Against Torture, and that has been since 1992. Cambodia ratified the optional protocol to that convention in 2007. And there's also a preventive mechanism entrusted with the task of investigating all places of detention. Also, there is an article in the Code of Criminal Procedure of Cambodia that nullifies confessions obtained under duress, under force, and a fortiori under torture. This article of the Code of Criminal Procedure provides for appeal to be lodged by those who are subjected to torture. I would add that the Code of Civil Procedure gives the right to compensation for victims, and also calls for prosecutions of those who are responsible for torture. So again, it's not a question of what is in the law books. It is a question of the actual practice, what happens in actual fact. From the information we received between 2010 and 2013, there was an investigation carried out by certain non-governmental organizations involving thousands of detainees who were interrogated. We've been told that between 2010 and 2013, 6,000 odd prisoners, and in 2014, 1,310. And a certain number of them, a certain percentage, which is under 10%, but that's still a very significant percentage. A certain number of them complained of having been subjected to acts of torture and ill treatment. They describe those acts of torture. They describe these acts of torture during their period of detention. And we are also told that there were acts of torture during police operations. That was raised by the report of the Committee Against Torture in 2010. Human rights defenders are also subjected to acts of aggression and improper treatment. Leaving out the details and the figures, it is still clear that excesses have occurred. There are flaws in the detention practices and in the conduct of police operations. So my question is, and this is a question that was already asked in the list of issues, but you didn't reply to it. So what measures will the government take, or does it expect to take, whether these are legislative measures, training measures, or regulatory measures? What measures are you going to introduce to put an end to this problem, which seems to have become endemic in character? Another question that I would like to ask, it seems to me that the Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights defenders requested a visit to Cambodia that was put forward in 2012, officially with the government. Could you tell me whether this request from the Special Rapporteur will be followed up on, or if it has already been followed up on, whether the government plans to allow for this visit by the Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights defenders to Cambodia? Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. The next speaker on my list is Mr. Victor Rodriguez-Recia. Mr. Rodriguez-Recia, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Of course, I join with my colleagues to extend a welcome to the representatives of Cambodia who have come here to contribute to this constructive dialogue. I would like to ask a whole array of issues relating to points 11, 12, and 13, persons deprived of liberty, both in the prison system and with respect to mental health, and also minors and persons who in one way or another require particular medical care or treatment for addictions. A question that struck me throughout the report is that the state refers over and over again to the fact that it is working on prison policies and public policies and projects in cooperation with the Office of the High Commissioner and in conjunction with the Red Cross and international cooperation in general. I think it is very good to rely on international cooperation, but the initiative, the proaction has to come, the proactive approach has to come from the state. And I make this point because in the replies provided concerning 11, the situation of the prison system, the answer is very inadequate. I took time to count 11 lines in the reply, above all concerning the prison system. I think that persons deprived of liberty need more attention from the state when it comes to looking at overcrowding, the causes of overcrowding, the health problems of persons deprived of liberty, the provision of food, the articles of personal hygiene, because pre-trial prison is the rule rather than the exception, because quasi 65% of persons deprived of liberty are people who are awaiting trial or a definite sentence. So why is there an increase in the occupancy levels because of a lack of definite sentences being handed down against persons deprived of liberty? Why are there so many boys and girls who are there with their parents above and beyond the age of 12 or 13 provided for by the law? I would like to know about the causes for why this situation is occurring in Cambodia and what proposals the state has come up with. It seems to me that what you are lacking is a comprehensive approach to prevention, to resolve prison problems and to reduce this high level of overcrowding. We have asked for disaggregated statistical data. We do not have them. We would like to know, concerning the prison population, above and beyond the number of persons who are deprived of liberty, how many of these are people who are minors and who should be indeed separated out from the adult population. Throughout the country, I know you're making efforts, particularly in the urban areas, to divide up the minors and the adolescents from the adults, but we know that you're having difficulties when it comes to the whole country. What are you doing, and what are you going to do to try to disaggregate the people, to separate women from men, and the conventional issues, classic issues that come up in prison systems in every country? But let's focus on overcrowding again, which should be the exception rather than the rule. It seems to be used as the general rule. Why? Because there isn't a proper practice used by the judges. That is, they just go through the checklist when it comes to deciding on pre-trial detention. We know that you are training them to remove this problem, but you need to discourage them from using pre-trial prison. They have to turn to alternative sentences. I know this is an outstanding issue, but what really struck me is that preventive detention in many cases goes beyond the period of time provided for by the Criminal Code of Procedure. It's a question of mathematics. It goes longer than it should. It is an improper practice, but it is something that affects the physical integrity, the health, and the freedom, of course, of these persons. And other issues. People have been convicted for a longer period of time than the sentence provided for in the conviction. It shouldn't happen, but it does. The person deprived of liberty and convicted is not notified of the entirety of the ruling for a number of reasons. The judges haven't finished drafting this ruling. Is it possible that a person who has been convicted nonetheless does not have the full decision before them so that they can appeal against it? This should not be possible when there's the rule of law. What can be done to combat this? The convictions have to be notified. Years go by without that being made public. There are problems of corruption because there are prison guards who, in exchange for money, make it easier for persons to receive that notification. So, in other words, what happens is that people who have money actually have access to their sentences. But this should not happen. The whole system of appeals breaks down for persons deprived of liberty in such a case. And there's the whole issue of budgets. We are ending up with a system of 200% overcrowding. So Victor Hugo said that a person who opens a school closes a prison. I think what you're lacking is a comprehensive overview, a criminal policy, and a preventive policy. People have to wait such a long time for their appeal procedures to come to fruit. Why not apply alternative measures in accordance with the Criminal Procedural Code of 2007 and the Code of 2009? Also, you have VIP conditions prevailing in your prisons. What happens is that there are people who have more resources and money. They have better conditions. In one prison, there may be high overcrowding with 36 centimeters for each person. 52 is the usual living space required. And then you have 7 people who have a kitchen, and they have totally different conditions which apply to them, living right opposite. So differentiated treatment seems to be applied, and also it means that all of the prison benefits and profits come in through corruption. Everything seems to work this way. For an example, family visits and marital visits. How much time? 15 minutes, half an hour. If you can pay, you have a longer visit. If you can't pay, then the visit will be limited to a half hour. So there seem to be different categories applying to people who are deprived of liberty, those who have money and those who don't. This kind of systematic corruption in the prison system means that people who can pay, once again, can be on the list of those requesting clemency and pardon. Anyone who doesn't have money just doesn't get on the list of persons who are calling for pardon. What is the state doing? What is it going to do to dismantle this system and this practice of generalized corruption in the prison system? The programs of rehabilitation are not enough. Again, these are initiatives taken by civil society organizations. There is no continuous education program under the Ministry of Education, for example. There is no real possibility for people to reintegrate, to adapt to society again, and to get a job. Health. I'm just going to talk about tuberculosis. Overcrowding is a perfect condition for tuberculosis to become a public health issue. I think what I'm saying makes it clear that the whole subject of the treatment of persons with tuberculosis is not being properly addressed in the prison system. The system of disciplinary action in the prisons depends on a regime which is self-managed by the government. There's no real system of registration of these systems. So obviously something has to be done here. What are our recommendations? Obviously you should improve the prison budget allocations in general so that all of the problems that I've just described can be combated. These practices of corruption must be rooted out. You must improve practices to ensure the use of preventive detention as an exception, not as the rule. Women and men must be placed in separate facilities throughout the country. There has to be also separation between minor juvenile offenders and adult offenders. These are all general recommendations. You should establish and strengthen a juvenile justice system which is clearly different and differentiated from the system and procedures for adult offenders. You must improve the situation of pregnant mothers and the children of mothers deprived of liberty up to the year of 13. And you should establish conditions and institutions for minors to have a decent prospect of their life ahead, above and beyond just living in prison. And this leads us to number 12, mental health services in prisons. And what is the main finding? That is, the state again is resorting to the Red Cross and the Office of the High Commissioner. But we are not told anything about the plans for the future. The general question is if the state can provide us with plans and programs, with deadlines and with projects aimed at pursuing these prison policies and policies to improve the conditions of these people. I'm thinking of persons with mental health problems. Why? Because there are no specialized facilities. These people are sent to ordinary prisons, even if they have psychiatric problems. What is the proportion of the general health budget? Only 0.02% is allocated to mental health services. That's nothing. It's not even 1%. I think it would be good if the committee could put forward a recommendation to have you go back to your country as a delegation and to promote legislative support, budgetary support to improve the mental health policy situation above and beyond the services that exist. They are only in urban areas. Is it impossible even to have a single psychologist? I don't think there are any psychologists budgeted in the system. I only see psychiatrists. Is psychiatry the only important branch of mental health services? What about psychotherapy? You haven't talked very much about the prevention of mental disease either, and there is a culture of stigmatization. The institutionalization of persons with mental illness is equally vital. There are no real facilities, intermediary facilities to provide mediation services between communities and the family. And lastly, on 13, which has to do with persons deprived of their liberty, concerning social rehabilitation problems for young people and adults. This committee is alarmed that there seem to be practices in your country which show that these people are victims of social cleansing. That is, people who are considered to be, in quotation marks, undesirable or indecent are kept without any access to water or food, without access to a council. They are have their belongings taken from them, and they are having their belongings extorted from them. So in the Asian Summit and the Festival of Water, I wonder what happened with a person who was kept in the vocational training center named as, this person was Pea, who died on in November 2014 after this person was denied medical treatment for a major infection that this person had in the leg. Could you give us any specific information concerning the outcome of this investigation? What actually happened? What happened to this situation? And why was forcible treatment used concerning persons with addictions, whereas it should be voluntary in treatment in nature? These are my questions in this first round of our dialogue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez Recia. I think now we can give the distinguished delegation some time to prepare their answers. I should think 20 minutes, 18, 20 minutes should be enough. So you'll have till 10 to 5 to prepare your answers, and then we'll resume the session. So we suspend until 10 to 5. Thank you.
Muy bien, colegas. Vamos a
Colleagues, let's resume our work this afternoon. And I will be handing over to the distinguished delegation from Cambodia to provide us with answers to the questions put and the comments raised by colleagues. And I think that will enable a very good interactive dialogue. So without further ado, you have the floor, sir.
I would like to thank Mr. Chairman. After all the questions from members of the committees, first of all, on behalf of the Royal Government of Cambodia, I believe that the report given by the comments made by the committee members does not reflect the actual situation of Cambodia. It is that we cannot accept this kind of comments and so on. I would like to summarize the comments made by the members of the committee. I want to affirm you that the Royal Government of Cambodia at the moment is the government elected by the people. If trust was provided by the people themselves, so the government work hard for the people. The government must work very hard in order to be elected, re-elected again. If this kind of situation exists, people will not vote for the government in the future's mandates. This is the stand of the government. The Prime Minister of Cambodia always introduced to the people until the local authorities to work hard, work with the voters because they are the owner of the power, the land, and so on. Instructs to the officials if those who made mistake and so on. If the what the members of the committee gave recommendations that I want to summarize regarding the National Human Rights Institution, like identity and situation of transgenderism and discrimination against women, domestic violence, and mental illness and pre-detention, pre-trial detention, and so on. And I would like to inform you that Cambodia is a country in ASEAN that we have a lot of conventions are recognized by Cambodia and so on. One is about immigration that we have not. This is that in many of the conventions we have been the signatories and so on. So, like members of the committee, as you know, that in 2012, when Cambodia was ASEAN chair, we collect members of ASEAN's to especially ASEAN 10s to have a human rights declaration in Phnom Penh. That the world applause about this ASEAN Human Rights Declaration. This is the first time that we achieve and 10 member adopted the declaration. this is an effort made by the government of Cambodia. I would like to point out some of the issues. One is related to National Human Rights Institution. At this point, this law, where is it now, and when it will be adopted by the parliament, how the draft law was processed. I would like to inform to you again the law on National Human Rights Institution, especially the Prime Minister of Cambodia, declared to all the workshop that Cambodia would like to be the 5th country in ASEAN to have the National Human Rights Institution after Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand. This law must be based on the Paris Principles. Paris Principle in 1993. This is important for the drafting of the law. And there are 4 major measures. One is the law whether by law or insert into the constitution. 2 is independence. That means that we have sufficient budget components. It means that multi-members from multi-sources. 4 is power, jurisdiction for this work. These are the 4 major points. When it will be adopted, and where is it now? This draft law already completed, but last week the CSOs asked me to have this draft laws to re-examine again before they meet with the government representatives. Because last month they submitted to us the draft law, but I asked them to also give representatives to discuss the laws. So I inform the secretariat of the CSOs to assign members like chair, team leader, and so on, so that we can discuss the law. We have to use the Paris Principles as a basis for dialogue and discussion. If we give so much power to this institution, it might affect other institutions. That's why we have to discuss dialogues. So after we finish our dialogue, then we can arrange a national workshop to have those who used to work on human rights, judges, lawyers, and academics, and members of the indigenous peoples, and so we invite them to the national workshop in order to get recommendation and feedbacks, especially those people at the National Assembly and Senate. So that we want to have a good law. Then we are waiting from the CSOs in Cambodia. So when we will adopt the law, after the National Assemblies, we will send the draft law to the Council of Ministers. Because this is the process how draft law is being done in Cambodia. After the Council of Ministers adopt it, then it will be sent to the Parliament. It's not so it's not about the government, it's not about the Cambodian Human Rights Committee, it's about the CSOs. If they work faster, the better. So this is the time frame. It's in the hand of the CSOs. If they do it faster, and we get it faster. The second point about prison. I don't know I don't know. I don't know how you receive the information from where regarding the prison systems in Cambodia. I don't know what source of information you receive from. You go and look. We have 24 in 24 provinces. We have correctional center 3. Correctional 1, correctional center 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And now we create another one. It's 4, number 4. The first one is adult prisoners, but only men. The second we divide it into 2. One is all women prisoners. All women prisoners, we accommodate them there. Another side of the CC2, under 18 years old juveniles, under 18 years old. The third correctional center in the Trapeang Thlong. Those who have been tried, we sent to Trapeang Thlong Center. Another one, we are creating correctional center 4 in Posat province. It's very big. It's about 80 hectares of land there. This for the accused people and prisoners. They can. There will be agriculture for them. They can do agriculture, and so there's no. I don't know who provided the information to you like that. I am not. I'm telling the truth to you. We have the OHCHR in Cambodia, so they are the witness. You can ask them on this issue. Now, this is about the prison system. And in the prison system, we have talking about torture. Cambodian Human Rights Committee. We visit prisons every month. And torture, I want to inform the meeting that Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, that in Asia, not only ASEAN, we talk about Asia, the only Cambodia that we accepted the convention against torture and so on in 2007 and so on. Even though we did not, when we did not, but we have a mechanism, a national mechanism to prevent torture. On the 7th August 2009, this sub-degree with the mechanism. There are 7 ministry institutions involved. Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of National Defense, and Ministry of Social Work, Social Affairs, Ministry of Health, and Cambodian Human Rights Committee. This national preventive mechanism monitor prisons and police stations and drug rehabilitation centers and the social social centers of the Ministry of Social Affairs. So this mechanism visit all these places. If there is a torture existed, we will punish them. They cannot. In various prisoners, we have a lot of NGOs. They are working with prisons. Please give the information. Who is the individual who did the torture? You give us the information. then we will take action against them. But if you just talk spreadly, if the information is untrue, how can we do? We join together to work. We cannot allow these few individuals to do everything without monitoring and so on. We work together. The government never allow the perpetrators to. We join together to fight them, to eliminate them. This mechanism, we visit every places. We ask the prisoners to meet privately and so on. How is the food provided? How difficulty is the prison and so on. We meet individually with the prisoners themselves, and then we advise them to make corrections, how to do it, especially the Ministry of Interior. Follow up on this very seriously. In the past, even they used the bad words to the prisoners. For example, the chief of prison in Ratnagiri, they use very bad words with the women prisoners, and then we take them out. We take him out. We in 2003 in Kampong Cham province, there was a teacher in prison, and then we take him out as well from the official of the Ministry of Interior and so on. This is our work. So please, if there is sufficient information, please provide to us. We can take actions. And so the members raised about the issue of prisons. Like fees to visitors. We are looking into these issues, and we place our people in various prisons. If they know, they lodge the complaints to us. We want to know who is. There is no exact information. Who is the one who takes the money? So if there is a complaint, they lodge the complaint with the information. For example, Mr. A takes the money on this and that day. The person will not go free, and we will not allow them to do corruption for their own personal use, personal gain. These individuals, the government has given this task to Cambodian Human Rights Committee and the Ministry of Interior to work on this issue. But please, we need cooperation from you. If you provide us the information, and then you attack the entire government, we work together for the respect of human rights. Because the respect for human rights not for an individual, but it is for people as a whole. And in regard to healthcare in prison, because in the past, those prisons are very old buildings, like 1960 or something. But the government right now, the government is trying to build, to repair the new buildings for the prisoners to live properly. Some we have Australian aid in Kandal province, and then we have a good prison. We are trying to have development partners to help with the reconstruction and renovation of the prisons for the prisoners to live properly. We have a sports center and so on for them, and take breast air and so on. So nobody can be kept without letting them get fresh air and so on. So in terms of food ration, 2,800 reals per day. Now we allowed them to have their family members to give them money, and so they can buy other food as well. So for the healthcare, Ministry of Health, They provide medical staff to some prison, like 2 medical staff or 3 medical staff. Some we have medical assistant doctors, some we have doctors and so on. Some prisons in the provinces we have medical staff, assistant doctor and so on. Even though our government is not that rich, but we look into this problem as well. In terms of children, they are with their mother prisoners. We want them to go out after 6 years old. But if they go to study outside, but their mothers, they don't want, they want to keep their children with them. They cry and so on. So the prisoner, the chief of the prison cannot do anything except that let them stay with their mothers. In some places, the mothers allowed, so we can have the children to go and live with the NGO center and so on, so they can live with their relative and so on. But if they don't allow, we cannot do that. The baby who born in the prison, we don't allow them to be born in prison. So we allow them to be born in the hospital and so on, so that they can have birth certificate that they are not born in the prison and so on. Earlier this month, because there was a report from ad hoc, and it's difficult for those pregnant prisoners and prisoners with small children, and so the government of Cambodia, because in relation to law on prisons, release the 22 female prisoners pregnant and with small children. They were released on 8 March, which is International Women's Day. So they are released. So they go free right now. And some other prisoners, they are in the process of being released on the Cambodian New Year Day. The government does not want to say that, but the government has gave them words that those who use these women to do illegal works, so please stop doing this, because some of them are cheated by some people. They use these women to perform illegal works as well. Those who are pregnant and those who are with small children, is to promote these women as well. And also in relation to the budget, we join together. If there's true stories, and I will submit this report to Excellency Polum, because he's from the Ministry of Interior. Another issues as about gender. I want to inform you that as the members of the committee said, 35%, 30% is Cambodia is not that. Is that 1/3 with domestic violence? The Ministry of Women Affairs are working hard right now in terms of domestic violence and so on. Those who they have to be brought before justice. They cannot after the law was released, we punish those who committed domestic violence. We arrested the husband. First of all, the wife agreed. Then we arrested the man, and then later on, the wife came and asked for her husband back, because they say that if there is no husband, so their children has no father, and who is going to be the breadwinner of the family, and so on. So they cry and ask them back, the husband to back. So when we see something very difficult like this, so the judge allowed them to live on bail and so on. So there is agreement that they don't commit domestic violence. Okay, if there is a domestic violence, of course, legal action will be taken against them. I hope the NGOs who are in Cambodia, they will work harder on this to eliminate domestic violence, because I am the president of the Cambodian Human Rights Committee, and with our colleagues here, we are all Cambodians. I don't want to see any Cambodian, especially on women, even though they are not my relative or your relatives, not anything with the government, but they are Khmer, they are Cambodians, and we consider them as mothers, and I have mothers and sisters, and but we need cooperation. Through information provided to us, we will take actions, I assure you, in relating to domestic violence and acid attack and rape. Not so many cases happened right now because we have the law, acid law, because if then we have to, if there is any case, then we will take legal action against them. Like domestic violence, like you mentioned about 35%, is I cannot accept that. One in three domestic violence. If it is true, then Cambodia is in a chaotic situation in terms of this issue. If there is a cooperation, please give the information to us. I cannot accept that, and I will take actions. We have some NGOs are here, major NGOs are here in this room as well. So please give us a cooperation and other issues. Before I give my colleague, Secretary of State of the Ministry of Interior, I would like to inform you that, especially Mr. Chairman, that the royal government of Cambodia never ignore human rights work. Human rights work is the work of the government. The government take into consideration for human rights for everyone, not just one group or something like that, whether rich people or poor people. Some of the issues, allow me to give the floor to His Excellency Polum. He is the Secretary of State of the Ministry of Interior. He will inform to you some of the issues like violence and discrimination, racial discrimination, and so on, and freedom of expression and the gender history situation. Please, Excellency Polum will provide you the information. My respect, Mr. Chairperson of the committee, my respect to NGOs, my respect to Lady Excellency, ladies and gentlemen who are in this room today. I am pleased because Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen concerned, take into considerations about human rights situation. This is a topic that is important and good, and Excellency Mak Sambat gave you the answers in summary just now. They are in line with the actions of the royal government of Cambodia. That are taking actions and continue to take actions on a continuous basis. This is a very major victory. But offenses in general, as NGOs, you are aware of, because we take care of one cases and then another case is expands because of the development, not only the Cambodian society, even in the world, there are cases happens, you know. In relation to this situation, I would like to raise some of the issue about racial discrimination. The topic we talk about anti-Vietnamese this issue. I would like you to understand that the Cambodia is not discriminated against anyone, and we never prevent anyone living legally from getting ID card. This work, I am a member myself in this committee on immigration, especially Vietnamese. This one case. On the other hand, regarding the the childs who were born in Cambodia, we they can have birth certificate. Birth certificate. Birth certificate does not mean that you have nationality. Nationality. This is the concern issue. For the people who live in Cambodia. Recently, not only Vietnamese, those who live in Cambodia, we have 22 nationalities who live in Cambodia that we have surveyed. We have surveyed them who, including Vietnamese, who have proper documents in line with the law. We can continue to allow them to live, or live and give them a national ID card as well. But providing the ID card, we re-examine what are the documents for the legal authorities to provide ID card, not only photocopy or something that you have from the previous regime. I myself I work for the Ministry of Interior from 1962. Now I am more than 70 years old. I know this process of work very well. So there is no discrimination. Please, Your Excellencies, understand. If otherwise, Cambodia discriminates against Vietnamese or other nationalities that cause problems. If we listen and listen like that, Cambodia is a bad country and so on. This is in summary to you. In relation to LGBT, in general, we allow other people, for example, 500 people or 2,000 people, to request for a law immediately, because the government has considered the issues, but we never denied them. On the other hand, they said that they are not employed or something like that. I used to have a meeting with the Minister of Labor, and vocational training. LGBT, those who are having diseases, they are afraid themselves. People, we have to live and we have to have work in line with the law and conditions that we can receive. Though there's no discrimination against LGBT. One more issue: disabled people. Those who cannot work anymore, or mental illnesses, or in legal in illegal means, unless the enforcement officials who identify them on their mental health disease, that they cannot be employed or join in the election process unless there is a certificate from the experts according to the medical examination. But there's no discrimination in the election time, as raised by Excellency Matsamat, that the royal government of Cambodia, even the sick people who can who can vote, then we transport them, even though they are sick, we transport them to vote if they can vote. Ministry of Interior instructed the local authorities to work on these issues. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, you probably understand that you can see that the royal government of Cambodia, with Prime Minister Hun Sen, considered created the disability people centers, meet them and greet them and encourage them. This is a good issue that I always see the activities of the government help a lot to the people who are with disabled people. Related with the domestic violence, Excellency Moksambat, we have a law on domestic violence. I don't want to mention further because he already mentioned that about the concern and consideration on women who are vulnerable to their husbands' activities, or the people who live on the same roof, not only husband. Sometimes, women attack men as well. So our law, we also think about those people as well. Sometimes father-in-law hit the daughter-in-law. So we ask the local authorities if women have quarrel with their husband. Those who live close to the offense, please go and protect them and liberate take the woman out to the safe place, not allowing the perpetrator to fight, or keep the perpetrators in one place so that they do not do any harm to their wife. In relation to the civil and political rights, I would like to inform you that Cambodian Human Rights Committee, as well as Madame Van Healy, who work for the United Nations and be based in Cambodia. They have their colleagues. She cooperated with me. Not only in Phnom Penh, we go to the site, to the provincial sites. We disseminate the information, the law on demonstrations, riots and protests, and so on. We look into Article 4, International Convention on Civil and Political Rights. Article 20 and Article 21, we implement. We think over again and again about demonstration, riots, and protests. Whether any behaviors, any activities that the royal government have to restrict in line with the Article 4 of the convention and Article 20 and Article 21 of this convention. In relation to this issue in Cambodia, we have a law on demonstration to protect them from any illegal activities. This is our effort. Like having said that about using extra forces, we clearly mentioned in the report, for example, like the death or something, disappearances and so on. Mission of the committee, especially judicial police officers, they are working to investigate the perpetrators, find them, so that they can be brought before the justice. Not only for the death side, the injured people also. Not only that they compensation, compensation the death, the injured, and also those who lost their property in the demonstration as well. They will be violence in the demonstrations that cause the burning of the private property and public property. This is the effort made by the government. In relation to this issue, I would like to inform the meeting that in regarding to freedom of expression, there is no discrimination against freedom of expression. Besides the convention, international convention, besides the law, we have information law, press law, which stated clearly is about freedom of expression, freedom of gatherings, freedom of writing, and freedom of publication as well. But these four rights, please, they cannot abuse these rights to violate others or affect others or violate others or the law. Then we use the legal means on demonstration, and we will use some of the articles in relation to civil and political rights. At the same time, in Cambodia, we are working to draft another law. It is called Law on Access to Information. This law will be open to NGOs and UN representatives in Cambodia who are also here. We are working on this law and almost completed. And some of the NGOs they said if the law is not completed, but the ministries of interiors want to draft the law on state secrets. Every country in the world, in some country in the world, they also have this law. The law is called National Secrets, Law on National Secrets. For example, top secrets, very secret, and normal secrets, something like that. But this is in planning. But the law on access to information, but we have a lot of meetings already. Yes, please be informed that in relation to on torture issue, His Excellency Maksamat already gave you the answers. About mental health in the prison system. Recently, I reaffirmed to you some ministries of the government drafted a law on juvenile justice. It means that we separate the prisons, children, women and children. We put them under the centers, under the Ministry of Social Affairs and Youth Rehabilitation. And here we have His Excellency Edradi from under Secretary of State. He's the team leader for this draft law, and this draft law has been completed, and it will be for the national workshop with NGO and so on for the feedback and recommendation from them. As you know, as mentioned by His Excellency Maksamat, we want the children to go to school, but their mothers stop them. Mothers, if they go to school and after that they come back and sleep in the prison, it's not good. So we are looking measures to steps to for the prisoners who have children like that. And for the infectious disease, the government is considering them important issue. In the Ministry of Justice, some of the judges they look into the prisoners or the accused persons who have infectious disease that they have to live in a separate room, especially related with the drugs issues. We took into consideration these points in cooperation with our NGO partners. That the government is, for example, law on NGOs is completed. On the registration, law on the registrations of NGOs, associations is completed. So it is waiting to be processed to the government to have a meeting and finish and then sent to the National Assembly. That's my summary for the answers to the meeting today. Allow me to give the floor to the head of the delegation. Thank you. I would like to give the floor to His Excellency Edradi. He's a vice chairperson of the Cambodian Human Rights Committee, and also he's a representative of the Ministry of Justice to give a presentation in relation to judicial and judicial reforms. His Excellency Edradi can give you the answers. First of all, I would like to respect Mr. Chairperson and Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen who are members of the committee. My respect to observers for this meeting. Because we have a short time, I won't speak much. I would like to add some information to some points. Besides His Excellency Maksamat and His Excellency Parliament gave you the answers. The first issue I want to inform you in relation to like governance on the courts. This issue related with implementation of the law. Recently, Cambodia adopted three main laws in relation to the court. One is on the functioning, organization and functioning of the courts, and the second law on statutes of the judge and prosecutors. The third one is organization and functioning of the supreme judicial. These three main laws are meant to manage the judicial system in Cambodia. This point, in order to guarantee the organization and functioning of the court system in Cambodia better, in the structure of the court, we arranged to have administrative entity organization to support the court, all level of the court, to support all level of the courts. Another important issue in relation to the management and the inspection better in the functioning of the Supreme Council. We have three main points for the management of the court. Control. One, members of the Supreme Magistrate Council. They have to work full time at the Secretariat of the Supreme Magistrate Council. If besides the meetings of the council, they have to go and visit the courts or to help them and monitors them. They are performing a daily work at the courts in all the provinces. Within the Supreme Magistrate Council, there is a internal disciplinary committee which look into the offenses of the judges and prosecutors who did not perform well in line with the statutes. The third point, the Supreme Magistrate Councils, there is a special ad hoc inspection team to monitor all complaints made by the people in relation to the process of work of the judge and the prosecutor. These are the three measures to control the court system, to make sure that the inspection work is being done. The second issue in relation to the training about the judges on human rights. You know that Cambodian judges they have to go through examination from the bachelor degrees of the university students. So in various universities, those students, they studied about human rights already. They studied human rights already. Also in law school in Cambodia, those students, they have curriculum on human rights. Human rights has been integrated into their school curriculum. Another issue we are considering the further training for the judges who have been working at the various courts for training. This is a thing. Another issue that I would like to inform to you about the best practice of the ECCC. This issue we have been working to some extent. The first issue, we take the models of ECCC to administrate our courts in line with our new law. Because this is the best practice from ECCC to administrate our courts. To use them in all levels of Cambodian courts. The second issue, I myself work with OHCHR in Cambodia. This is also heritage from the Khmer Rouge Tribunal. We make the changes to the pre-trial detention period. We studied and we researched from the ECCC court, the Khmer Rouge Tribunal court. These are the experience we learned from them, and we look into other issues when they finish their work. What are the best practice they have been doing at the court? Then we will consider integrating them into the court of Cambodia. In relation to human trafficking, especially women and children, the question was there are less prosecution. This issue related in two areas. One is in Cambodia, we don't do only human trafficking cases. Thousands of cases that the Cambodian court has to do. Not only human trafficking cases. So some cases, some years the human trafficking cases they come first, so they are first served. So more cases have been done by the court too. The human trafficking existed. It doesn't mean that not every year that these cases happen, because some years they have more, some years they have less cases. Those years that have less cases in court also less. So less sentences made to the cases. It means that it doesn't mean that some years that the court does not take action, something like that. That's all that I want to inform to you. Another issue related with crowded in the prison. This issue, there are two issues that the government of Cambodia are considering. One is the General Department of Prisons requested the budget to build prisons in province, but it cannot help entirely. The second issue, we are encouraging to implement the laws as raised by the question in the criminal code. Some of the articles that we can put the accused person outside the prison, but this issue is new to Cambodia. For Cambodia, this issue is new to Cambodia. I myself is the one who is taking the lead in preparing this work. We raised three issues to encourage in order to implement the law. First issue, we encourage the court to use the measures to the accused persons under the supervision of the court. It doesn't mean that we don't put them in prison, but we put them under the supervision of the court. Two, we use another measures, try them and what we call provisional sentence for it means that the sentence after less than 5 years. So the trial is so we don't put them in prison or something like that. Third issue, another measures that we have been encouraging, punish them to work in the community, these are the issues, measures that we are encouraging the courts to do. These are the issues that we are looking into and ask the court to do, so that we can tackle the crowded issues of the prison. If these issues are going well, then some of the accused person who can live outside the prison. According to the Cambodian laws, criminal code, some other principles that can help to take care of the issue as well. Some like half freedom, or like delay the announcement of the sentence or something like that. But these are the issues. These are new issues for Cambodia. It's hard for Cambodia to implement because we have no experience. We don't have experience. The judge and the police, they don't have accepted these new measures well yet. So we are encouraging the courts to use these measures, these three measures, as I mentioned earlier, to help the crowded in the prison. That's all from me. If you have any further question, please, I can provide more answer. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the delegation. We've only got 1 minute remaining. Head of delegation.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to make some modifications in the very beginning, that our delegation led by His Excellency Mok Sambat, not led by myself as a permanent representative of Cambodia to Geneva. And then I have a general comment regarding to the report, national report, because our national report made in 2012, and in the report we mentioned that we ratified the core international human rights only 6, but actually all the core international human rights 10, we sign, we ratify, or we access. For example, the Convention on the Enforced Disappearance, we ratified in 2013. And then the Convention on the Rights of the People with Disability, we also ratify. And regarding the Convention on the Protection of Migrant Workers and their family, we already signed. So it means that all the core international human rights instrument Cambodia already signed, ratified, or access. And my second point, I want to comment, respond to the general comment from our distinguished members of the committee. Yes, please, 3 minutes.
Tomorrow you'll have ample time to answer the questions and complement the information. We're going to have to conclude today, but tomorrow you'll have plenty of time to answer. And I'm sure colleagues in the room also will want to ask follow-up questions. So I'd like to close this afternoon's session, but first of all, let me say that most of the documents that we've referred to are public documents. They're in fact on the website of the Office of the High Commissioner, at least 18 public documents. And if the delegation hadn't seen them, then I do invite you cordially to read them tonight. I think it might be extremely useful for you to be able to be mindful of what's in those documents. Then we have the resolutions under other treaty bodies, other UN treaty bodies. Again, these are public documents as well. And just as you've ratified many instruments, let's hope that you ratify the first optional protocol to the covenant, which you signed in 2004, but the state party has not yet ratified. I think we all need a bit of a break. It's been a very interesting discussion. We'll resume tomorrow morning with more questions from colleagues and a debate on the second part of the list of issues. The chair kindly thanks the interpreters, and the meeting is adjourned until tomorrow morning.